Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and a lot of people, they think the only way to make money from NFTs is by buying into this very cool project. Celebrities talk about it, but then you gotta get in super early, and you also have to know when to sell and when not to sell. So there are a lot of things going on, so meaning there's a lot of risks. You might make money, you might not make money. Most people don't make any money, but there are other ways to make money from NFTs that are a lot more tangible, meaning it's a lot more realistic in the sense that you can actually make some money from this stuff without having to worry about things you can't really control. So in this video, I'm gonna give you the top 7, but in addition to that, the last 2 don't even exist just yet. But I wanna talk about it because if we can talk about it now before it actually happens, because technology is pretty cool, the answer is imagine all the money that can basically be made because we get in first before everybody else, okay? Now, again, I do wanna say one thing, guys. An investment and speculation are 2 different things. This right here is not really an investment in a sense, it's a way to make money, and you gotta be very smart and tricky with how you actually do this, okay? So be very careful as you watch this video. Don't put all of your money into one thing. That's not a smart idea. It's actually pretty stupid, okay? Now, as always, guys, like this video. I appreciate it a ton. And on top of that, also subscribe and hit the bell to get notified because I have more videos on investing the traditional way and also passive income and real estate and all that good stuff too. Now, the very first way to go out there and make some money from an NFT is by basically, if you already own an NFT and that NFT is, for example, pretty popular. By the way, NFT, non-fungible token, is kind of like a unique digital asset in a sense, and it's not like a dollar bill where if I give you $100 bills, doesn't matter, they're all worth the same thing. No, like every single NFT is different, okay? It's unique. That's the idea there. Now, overall, if you do have one of these unique NFTs with some reasonable value, the answer is you could go ahead and rent it out. We all know how renting an apartment works. So if I want to rent out this house right here or a room in this house, you want this room, I'll tell you, okay, I'll rent it out for a month. You give me the money, you stay here for a month. Same thing with an NFT, okay? So if you have an NFT that is valuable and that person wants to use it for a while, whether it's for an art gallery or for whatever reason it actually is, the answer is you can basically rent it out to them and you can get paid for the amount of time you basically settled on with that person, okay? And it's pretty safe too, so you don't have risk of actually losing it depending on what website you actually use. One example is renft.io, okay? That's also one, but there are a lot of places out there to actually go ahead and rent out your NFT. Now, number 2 is gonna be making loans that are backed by NFTs. Now, obviously, this again is pretty simple, okay? If you have an iPhone, for example, the iPhone 14 that just came out, I don't have it, okay? But it costs around $1,000, right? So if I know this phone is costing, for example, $1,000 and it's worth, for example, like $800 on the streets, well, if I lend you $200 and you can't pay me back and I get your phone, I can make an easy profit because this loan is backed up by the iPhone. Same thing with these NFTs, okay? So if you know the NFT this person basically has is worth a good amount of money and has value on the streets, the answer is you can always go ahead and use a third-party website to basically do that entire transaction. So I lend you this money, they hold on to the NFT. If you don't make those payments, then guess what? I get to keep it. And in reality, I get to make a good profit dependent on the value of it. Now, obviously, if they do pay you back, you want to make sure you get a decent amount of interest, so you can always agree on that too. Now, a good example of this is the website NFTFI. Look it up and also compare websites. A lot of these websites, they fall through, so you want to go on Reddit, you want to go on Discord, and you want to basically get as many opinions as possible, and also YouTube, to figure out exactly which ones are legit, which ones are not, which can be trusted, and everything else, okay? Now, number 3 is, this one's actually pretty unique, okay? And it's all about music. I was talking to my friend, Paul, my editor also, and he was talking to me about music and potential NFT and fans becoming investors. And right now, we do have NFT music, but in the sense of like, for example, if I buy my favorite artist NFT and I buy it, that could give me, for example, some perks like some concert tickets, a free t-shirt, maybe, for example, a link to the song before it comes out, all this cool stuff in a sense. And if it does have value in a sense, if it actually holds up, I could always sell it to another fan for more money. However, anyone can still listen to that, for example, on Spotify, okay? It doesn't mean I'm actually an owner of the actual song. And that's where this does not exist yet, but this could be a crazy idea. Think about this, okay? If you have your favorite song, okay, or your favorite artist, let's say your favorite artist is Drake. Everyone knows Drake. And he has, for example, this banger of an album that's about to come out. And he makes like this NFT of this album. And there are, for example, 1 million shares. And every share is worth, for example, like let's say simplicity, $10. So the entire thing is 10 million, okay, shares available. Now this means, well, not shares available, more like the total amount of money, if everything sells out, is gonna be $10 million as far as the value of this thing. Now obviously, if you buy, for example, 100,000 shares, you own 10% of this album. Now the idea would be that you own 10% of it, so whatever this album makes as far as streams, royalties, movie presentations, and all this other uses, you would also get a percentage of all of those profits. I think that would be a very cool idea. And whenever, for example, you sell your shares of that music ownership catalog, whatever you want to call it, the answer is the artist also gets money. But again, it sounds interesting, it sounds cool, it sounds possible, but when you have, for example, a bunch of labels and a lot of money involved in this game to basically deregulate the whole thing, it gets very difficult and very hard. But it does sound so interesting, doesn't it? So you're basically a co-owner or a co-investor with your artist. You support them, you invest in them, and you also make profit from the money they basically make. To me, that sounds pretty cool and amazing, okay? Now, NFTs, okay? NFT gaming, number 4. I've always loved gaming since I was a kid. I don't know about you, but at a certain point in my life, it just felt like a waste of time because no matter the achievement I achieved, no matter what I collected, whether it was a rare Pokemon or a rare pew pew on Call of Duty, it never made any sense, right? Because I couldn't resell that, I couldn't trade that to a friend in reality, unless you were doing like Pokemon trading and getting money for it, but that's different conversation. But overall, there are now, for example, like CryptoKitties, where you can basically play a game and you can get, for example, these digital assets and basically resell them for real money in real life. To me, that sounds pretty cool because imagine when you don't just take the idea into these like CryptoKitties and, for example, like the sandbox stuff and all these other games here, but you make it, for example, into the whole global gaming market. When all games have digital NFTs involved with them, with collectibles you can basically find for free or through put in a lot of work in a game, and when you get these, you can basically have a marketplace within the game to sell them for real actual money. This basically means more transactions for the game developers or the people that actually own the games, and this also means for people that are basically putting their time into a game, they can also have the potential of making money. I mean, to me, that sounds pretty cool. Imagine like I'm going on a mission and I need like the best gear, and I'm like, yo, can I basically rent your sword? And you're like, yeah, rent my sword for real money. Like, that would be pretty cool. Now, this sounds amazing for the game companies, sounds amazing for kids to make money, and sounds like a terrible idea for parents when their kids use their credit cards to buy things in this game and think it's actually an investment, okay? However, that is such a cool idea to me, okay? But it does exist in the sense, for example, like CryptoKitties and Sandbox and a whole bunch of different NFT games that have collectibles. But again, the value of these things, they go up, they go down, but it would be a lot more cooler with like very popular games too. Now, number 5 is invest in projects before they actually launch. Now, this is kind of like venture capital, VA, and that, well, VC I mean, and that basically means, for example, if you have a business idea and you want to take it to market, and I can invest in you before you actually bring it to market. Like, it's like me saying, hey, I'm gonna give Steve Jobs $10,000 before he even goes public with the company. The answer is my $10,000 can turn into so much money because I basically got in at the ground level. That's pretty cool, right? So if you have like a potential project that you believe in or whatever, and you're able to basically invest into it before they actually launch it and work out a plan with them, the answer is that's also good money. But again, venture capital with things that are very risky in this sense are even added risk, okay? So it's one of the riskiest ways here to make money, if you ask me, by being a venture capitalist, but instead of like physical things, into NFTs, because that's super dangerous because so much of these projects basically fail. Now, number 6, And this is where we get into the stuff that doesn't exist yet. But you know, for example, like how on the metaverse, we're able to buy real estate in a sense, which is basically patches of land that are digital land. And for example, even like digital assets like boats or whatever. But all these things that sound cool on paper because, oh, you own them, you can flex on people. But you know, you really can't sleep in that house, right? But imagine in the future, because again, NFTs are unique, right? They're non-fungible tokens. Now imagine if you grab these contracts and you attach them to real legitimate assets in the real world. For example, I have an NFT of my house, and if I decide to sell you this NFT, automatically you get my house. All the rights are transferred to you, like automatically. The tax people know, everybody knows, and that would be pretty amazing. But again, it would have to have like a whole reconstruction on how the entire real estate system works, because you would also put a lot of people out of business in the sense of like, what about the real estate agents now? What about all the people within the government and so on, right? Because now it's like a whole different system and you're basically trading back and forth and buying this and buying that. To me, that seems so cool. And the technology doesn't seem that far out to actually be able to do it. So you have an NFT, it's attached to a physical, tangible property, and whenever you sell that property, you also get access to the actual property. I mean, that's pretty cool. I don't know how you can make money from this, but it just sounds amazing. Now, number 7 is actual tangible things that can be sold as NFTs in the real world. Now, let me explain here. Let's say, for example, you have an architect. I haven't heard anybody talk about this, okay? But if you went to school for being an architecture or whatever, and you have all of these different plans on how to build this house, this building, this boat, whatever, okay? And you're actually able to sell these plans digitally to other people and in an NFT format, that's pretty cool. If you're a painter, this obviously exists already, and you have, for example, your physical artwork, why not make a bunch of artwork about that and also make some money? And on top of that, books can also be NFTs. And also, the cool thing about this is, guys, it might seem far-fetched to think about, well, architecture, you know, the painting stuff seems pretty cool, the book stuff seems pretty cool, but all this digital stuff, Tommy, it doesn't really make that much sense. But overall, remember when we had to go to the movies and it was basically, if you didn't have the physical ticket, you weren't getting in, even if you had like a photo of it? That was a real thing. Or when you went, for example, to the airport, and if you didn't have, for example, your physical passport and your physical ID, you weren't gonna go in, okay? Because you needed physical stuff, okay? But imagine in the future, again, all this NFT stuff, as long as we have, for example, the technology, a trusted provider, and it's basically regulated and basically make sure that it's not gonna be like used for like bad use or whatever, the answer is I could probably just go to the airport with my digital passport as an NFT and be like, hey, here's my passport, you can verify it, it's me, I own it, and here's my ID, I own it, blah, 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 right? And that's pretty cool stuff, okay? And you also have my fingerprint, okay? Just to, as a third way to verify things. And I think that would be pretty cool for the future, and I do see that potentially happening. It doesn't sound that far-fetched. Now, if you made it all the way to this point of the video, I want you to comment down below NFT. And because of that, I also want to give you a bonus here. You know, when it comes to collecting NFTs, artwork, music, all these things that are basically like very subjective, meaning, for example, the value is based on what somebody else would pay for it. That's very, very risky stuff, right? Because today, this could be worth $1, tomorrow it could be worth nothing, right? So the one big thing when it comes to this stuff and making money in it is gonna be just buying a lot of it and holding it over time as if it was, for example, like an index fund. So studies show that, for example, people that are very successful with artwork and reselling, it's not like they have this very good eye. It's more like they just buy a lot of diversified pieces of artwork and they hold on to it for a very long time. And if they buy 10, 5 might suck, 8 might suck, but the actual 2 that don't suck, or the actual 1 that don't suck either, that basically makes them so much more money than the money they spent on everything else. But obviously, to do this correctly, you need cash to be able to collect from here, collect from here, collect from here, and then build a portfolio. And then eventually, if it's worth something, it's worth something. But my main interest in NFTs is more of the technology itself, if you ask me, to actually make the physical digital and actually have a uniqueness to it so you can actually verify it. To me, that sounds very interesting. Now, would I call this an investment? The answer is no. I would call this speculation and so on, but it is still pretty cool if you ask me. Now, guys, as always, comment down below NFT with your comments so I know you're a real person, because these videos, they tend to do very well and get a lot of robots as comments. So make sure when you comment down below NFT, so I know you're a real person. And also comment down below NFT to support the channel, because we're trying to hit 500,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe right now, absolutely. Thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. Up here is another video explaining how to basically make your own NFT. And over here is my face, click subscribe, and as always, long-term team officially out.